My name is Richard Neer. I'd like to speak for tennis players for change. I've been to many of these meetings in the last 10 years, and the mantra is always the same. We'll cut the tennis courts. And the tennis players are a little bit tired of this. I have a feeling some of the people in here, they live over the hill, they have their own private tennis courts. These are the only public lighted tennis courts within 10 miles. So, and this is just not acceptable for us. That's all I want to say.
I appreciate the comment. We certainly care about those who care about tennis. We're providing tennis courts and making them publicly accessible. Our students and Harvard-Westlake use of the tennis courts will be limited, and it will provide opportunities for the public to use the courts. Is it a reduction in the number of courts that we're proposing? Yes. And so I lost sight of the man who just spoke. And so I understand your concern. We share it, and we're trying to address it, perhaps not to the extent that you would like.
Live within walking distance of the Coldwater campus of Harvard-Westlake. We moved here a few months ago, and prior to we becoming a neighbor, my son was a swimmer who practiced at the Harvard-Westlake pool. Harvard-Westlake has always been welcoming and allowing us to use the track, but my son's becoming a student about a month ago, and at that time I realized that how much care Harvard-Westlake take to be a good neighbor, the extreme care that they take to ask the student not to park in the neighborhood, encourage the use of buses, and I understand over 50% of students take buses to school rather than driving, and the amount of effort to reach out to the community, to collaborate with the community to develop this project, I want to say that I fully trust the school's intent and effort to work with the community and honor their commitment. And I appreciate the availability of the safe environment and trail for the community to use for the future.
Hi, I have two issues. One is traffic. If shuttles or cars are going to be directed Coldwater to Moore Park, what is to prevent people from turning down my street and all the other streets between Moore Park and Weddington? I don't know how you can stop people from doing that. So that's one issue. The other thing is parking in the neighborhood. You have no control over that. That's up to the city. Third is security. These days, we hear all these stories about kids having to go through active shooter drills. I was a teacher for 13 years, and thank God I got out when I did, so I never had to do that. But Harvard-Westlake students and parents expect the utmost security, I'm sure. So you keep talking about public-private access. How are you going to guarantee to those parents that the public that you're letting onto your property is going to protect their children? I just don't see how you can do it.
So thanks for the question, Helen. So take the first part first, traffic on Valley Spring. So our full expectation is to direct students, faculty, staff, and shuttles to either go down Coldwater to Moore Park and then back up Whitsett, or to go down Ventura and down Whitsett, as I said. The concern is neighborhood cut-through traffic. So there are a couple of ways that we can do that. One is that we have enforceable school policy. Obviously, we can't enforce road rules. Well, we can enforce school policy, and we do it all the time. So that's the first way. The way we're going to monitor it is that we're going to have, obviously, surveillance for safety around the perimeter of the property. We're also going to have 24/7, 365 manned security. And those guards and the cameras will monitor for traffic that is coming from the school down residential streets, and will tell those people that they're not allowed to do it and that they risk losing access to the facility if they choose to go through neighborhood streets.
And the other people who get backed up because your students are coming down Moore Park, they're going to turn on my street, and what's to stop them from doing it?
I mean, I can't speak to that issue specifically. What I can say is what I said before, is that I think that your expectation of the total volume of traffic, the total number of people who are coming to the River Park campus on a daily basis is wildly exaggerated. Our estimations are, based on our programming, that it's not going to exceed the number of people who are already using the site on a daily basis. As far as parking in the neighborhood, same thing. Obviously, well, one thing we've talked about at community meetings and we'd be willing to work with the neighborhood on is parking restrictions in the neighborhood that would formally impose a neighborhood parking restriction. Beyond that, no, the city has to do that, but it's something that we would certainly support. But the same reason that we'll be able to monitor cars coming down Valley Spring, we'll also be able to monitor pedestrian traffic. If somebody chooses to park in the neighborhood, there won't be entry into the, what was a three-part question, so should I continue? So there's not going to be entry into the interior core, the athletic core of the campus from Valley Spring. So anybody who parks in the neighborhood on your street has to walk all the way down to Whitsett, all the way down to one of the pedestrian entrances where a guard is going to see them walking in, is going to have seen them on the cameras from the moment they set foot on Valley Spring, and is going to turn them around and tell them to go back to their car and get it off the street. The third question about safety. Obviously, safety is paramount to us. It's the single most important implied promise that we make to our families, is that we're going to deliver their children safely to them at the end of the day. We take that responsibility very seriously. We have a very sophisticated professional security operation made up entirely of either off-duty or ex-law enforcement, and that's the same security detail that we will employ on this campus. We understand that there will be periods of the day when the community will be allowed access to the interior of the campus, to the athletic core, but we will ensure that everybody is off before Harvard-Westlake students arrive, and that's how we're going to make sure that those core athletic facilities are safe for our students to use.
Pardon me?
Where will the public access community that will allegedly be able to use the facilities, where will they park? And what traffic will they bring?
Would you like us to take questions from the audience? Is that-
Let's not do that right now. We'll pick up on that question, though.
Hi, I'm Ryan Bourne. I live 1,000 feet from this church, 1,000 feet from Weddington as well. Spend a lot of time there playing golf, tennis. Let's just remember how we got here. So, does everybody remember no condos at Weddington? I still see the signs. If you look closely at that plan, it was actually not condos. It was old folks' homes, and it was removing something like, I believe, 10 tennis courts for old folks' homes, and the golf would stay. And we fought it, and we fought it, and we fought it, and this is where we got. So I will close by reminding everyone of Newton's third law of motion, which is that every action has an equal and opposite reaction. We fought Weddington, the property became Harvard-Westlake's. We can fight Harvard-Westlake, or we can work with them in a positive way to make this beneficial for the community. Thank you very much.